So they told you to stop farming until you can be there full time.
I recommend that you can run it from where you are. What you need is to put the right systems in place.
Yes.
As you can see right now, I am a camera, I am a brother.
Yes.
During the day, at night, I can monitor my farm from everywhere.
Right. Today, I want to have an honest conversation about whether this advice is the right advice.
Daily I call in the book I need my reports. On Monday from Friday, one does work farm. What were you doing?
My name is Kundai and I've traveled hundreds and hundreds of farms. I think you've been watching what I've always been doing, most of which are being run by people who are not on the farm full time. Some of them are in UK, some in America, some in all these other countries.
So when I came from the UK, I sold 7.
How many of these do you have?
The cows.
Yes.
There are 72, if I'm not mistaken.
Hi. In this video, I'm going to give you the most honest, the most balanced, the most realistic assessment of what people now call cell phone farming. That is managing your farm remotely, using your phone from the city, from the UK, from South Africa, from wherever life has taken you. And in this time, there's no cheerleading, no doom and gloom, just the truth with all its complications. Because yes, there are so many complications that are involved in doing this. Let me start by telling you who this video really is for. This is for someone who is somewhere between 30 and maybe around 50 years old. You've got a job. Maybe you're in Harare, maybe you're in Bulawayo, maybe you're in London or Joburg or Sydney, Australia. That job is paying your rent, feeding your children, and funding the dream you have of building something back here in Africa or in Zimbabwe. And part of that dream is farming. And you want to start farming and you have no idea where to start. Maybe you've already started. Maybe you bought a few chickens and you planted a small field or put some cattle on your family's communal land. Maybe you have bigger plans. You want to go bigger. You want to have a proper poultry operation, a market garden, a tobacco contract. You know, nowadays we've got contract farming, and probably you want to have a cattle head. And then someone, a farmer, a family member, or someone who considers themselves wise, they look at you and then they say, you cannot farm from a phone. You need to be on the ground. I think almost everyone has actually had some advice like this. They tell you you need to stop until you can be there full time. That's like the advice that we get every time. And the honest truth is, part of you believed them because you've seen what happens when things go wrong on a farm that you are not watching. I think you see these things on social media every time. You see people crying. So today, I want to address that advice directly. Is it a right advice? Is it a wrong one? What does the real answer actually look like? So now, let us start with the case against cell phone farming. Obviously, we want to start by supporting these people because the people who say stop, they are not entirely wrong. And I will not sit here and tell you otherwise. That's the honest truth. The first and the most painful reality of remote farming in Zimbabwe is the caretaker problem. We've got problems. I'm going to be giving you a lot of them, but the first and the most common is what you call the caretaker problem. When you're not on your farm, obviously, someone else is. It's either a hired worker, a relative, a neighbor who is keeping eye on things. And the brutal, honest truth is this: the interests of that person and your interests are not always going to be the same. I have seen it myself firsthand. I have done it. You probably know someone who has lived it. That worker who sells your chickens and tells you that zakafa apatenges. The relatives who harvest your crop early and keeps the money. They do that. That caretaker who lets your cattle graze on the neighbor's field and then they deny it. And then I don't know what you're talking about. The person who does not water your seedlings during a dry spell because, it's not them, it's not water. It is hard work. They spend their time by TikTok. Some of you guys, you put internet to make sure that these guys, they have at least, want to better their lives. So they spend their time watching videos on social media and nobody is watching your seedlings. Then they forget to water. Nobody is watching. The honest truth is, this is not a reflection of the moral character of all the farm workers. This is not a reflection of all of them. It is a reflection of of something that we call a structural problem. When the person responsible for your assets has no real stake in the outcome, the incentive to go above and beyond is very low. And in farming, where the margin between a good season and a loss is already thin, I think you all know, a very, very small thin line between a very good season and having a loss. The consequences of that gap in incentive can be very, very devastating. Stock theft in rural Zimbabwe is a real and a very growing problem. I don't know if there is English that says growing problem. A very growing problem. We've got social pressures that are rising. Demand for meat and the high value of livestock have made it a very lucrative, illegal business. And rural farmers are the primary victims. About half of the rural farmers use community grazing systems. I think you all know that, which further exposes their livestock to things like theft. So when you're not there to monitor, to count, to verify, obviously you're exposed. Then we've got the second reality, which is the information gap. Guys, I want to tell you the truth. Farming is a business of real-time decisions. When do you plant? When do you spray? When do you harvest? These decisions are often measured in days, sometimes even in hours. Because a pest outbreak that is caught early can be treated. The same outbreak caught 2 weeks later after your worker has mentioned it in passing on a call can destroy an entire crop. So research in Zimbabwe has found that farmers fail to access timely and comprehensive weather forecast, resulting in annual crop and livestock losses as decision making is compromised. Now, if you multiply that problem by the additional layer of being hundreds of kilometers or even thousands of kilometers away, you are not just missing the weather forecast. You are missing what your eyes and nose and feet on the ground would tell you every single day. Now, the third reality is the financial drain of learning remotely. Guys, I want to tell you something. Every farmer loses money when they are learning. That is not something that is only for people who are doing remote farming. Every farmer, they lose money. But when you are learning remotely, your losses tend to be larger, obviously, and they'll be slower to discover. You won't get to know it as soon as it happens. Because a problem on a farm you visit daily gets caught and corrected quickly. There's something wrong here, and then you can fix it quickly. But a problem on a farm that you visit monthly compounds silently. And by the time you find it, you have not just lost the initial investment, but everything that should have grown with it. So this is real. What these people are telling you is real. And to be honest, I'm not dismissing it. Those people who tell you stop, they are seeing these things. They are seeing the caretaker problem. They are seeing the information gap. They are seeing the compounding losses. And their advice in that context comes from a place of genuine concern. They are very, very right. But there's a big but. Here's where I start to push back now. Here's where I start telling you guys, I have to push back. Because the people who tell you to stop farming until you can be there full time are in most cases asking you to do something that is impossible. I have said this countless times. I have said it. If you are asking us to stop farming until we are there full time, you are asking us to do something that is impossible. Let us think about what that advice actually means in practice. Let's look at it. You are a nurse in the UK. You are earning in pounds. You are sending money home every single month. That money is building your house. That money is paying your children's school fees. That money is funding your parents. And yes, that money is the money that is funding your farm. So if you stop working in the UK to go and farm full-time in Zimbabwe, where does that money come from? Where will it come from? Remember, the farm is not yet producing enough to replace your UK salary. You'll be jumping out of a plane before the parachute is fully paid. No one my suicide at not a because China is such a simba. Imagine you are a civil servant in Harare. You are earning a government salary. You can't just resign and then you go and start farming. You have school fees. You still have Vananda score. You've got responsibilities, and that does not pause because the farming dream is calling. You can't say, so and get anything. You can't do that. So the advice to wait until you can farm full time is for most people. Though it's not a prescription to never farm at all. It simply means you should never farm. Because the full-time moment, the moment when you are financially free enough to walk away from your job and live on a farm, it almost never arrives on its own. It has to be built towards. And the only way to build toward it is starting farming now. Imperfectly, remotely, with all the risks that are involved. Kutongopinda baba. But you have to be there because you have to build towards it. You can't just say, yeah, we are doing this because you can't. And there's something else that the critics of cell-phone farming never acknowledge. And this is it. They don't want to look at this. The losses you incur while farming remotely are not just losses. They are tuition, your school fees. Because that batch of chickens that died because your worker did not recognize the symptoms of Newcastle disease in time, that loss taught you that poultry farming requires someone with specific knowledge on the ground, not just a willing pair of hands. That is a lesson worth paying. That is a lesson worth paying for before you scale up. That crop that failed because you relied on the rains and the rains did not come at the right time, that taught you that irrigation is not optional in Zimbabwe because the climate is very unpredictable. That is a lesson that will save you from tens of thousands of dollars in future seasons. That cattle that was stolen because no one was watching it, that taught you that livestock farming without proper infrastructure, fencing, and a trustworthy full-time worker is a different kind of business from what you imagined. That one is a lesson that reshapes your entire farming strategy. Guys, you cannot learn these things from YouTube. You cannot have these lessons on YouTube. You cannot learn these from books. You cannot learn them from talking to other farmers at agricultural shows or in WhatsApp groups. You can only learn them by doing, by being in the game, losing some rounds and adjusting. Remote farming, to be honest, done with eyes open, is the training ground for full-time farmer you want to build yourself to become. It is the best thing that you can ever do. Now, let us talk about what actually makes cell-phone farming work. Because the question is not whether we should do cell-phone farming. Because for most of us, it is the only realistic option. We cannot leave our jobs. Oh. The question now is, how do we do it in a way that minimizes the losses and maximizes the learning? And you know what? The first and the most important factor is the person on the ground. This is not your most available relative. This is not the cheapest worker you can find. This is the single most important hire you will ever make for your farm, and it deserves the same seriousness you would give to hiring a key employee in any business. Guys, as for me, I have seen this firsthand. I don't want to lie to you. I have seen this firsthand. What you are looking for is someone who has genuine farming knowledge, not just willingness to work, but actual practical understanding of the crops or of the livestock that you are going to be running. Someone who is skin in the game. And the best arrangement I have seen work consistently is not a pure wage arrangement. That one is a very big problem. The one that works, it is a stake arrangement. Your farm manager gets a base wage, obviously, plus a percentage of what the farmer produces or what the farm produces. Now their success and your success are now aligned. When the chickens do well, these guys will also do well. When the crops sell, these guys will benefit, or your worker or your farm manager will benefit. That alignment of incentive changes everything. Research on medium-scale farms in Zimbabwe found that female farm owners managing farms from urban or diaspora bases who combined forces with a trusted relative or close associate to lead day-to-day activities had significantly better outcomes than those who relied purely on hired workers with no personal connection to the operation. The lesson here is proximity of relationship matters as much as proximity of geography. The second factor is visibility systems. Approximately 94% of farms in developing countries now utilize mobile phones in some aspect of farm management. This is not something that you can say, it is the future. This is already happening. The question is whether you are using your phone strategically or just for, occasional check-in calls that you tell, that will just tell you very, very little. What does strategic mobile farm management look like in practice? It means daily photo and video reports from your farm manager. Not weekly, I said daily. A short WhatsApp video every single morning showing the chickens in their run, the crops in the field, the water level in the tank, the state of the fencing. This takes your worker just 2 minutes and it gives you real visibility. And critically, it changes the psychology of how your worker operates. When they know that, hey, this guy is watching me and everything is documented, the incentive of cutting corners, it drops significantly. Because it means financial transparency. Every purchase, every sale, every expense gets photographed and sent to you before money moves. So a receipt for feed, a photo of the chickens being counted before a sale, a bank confirmation of market prices being deposited. You build a paper trail that makes it very difficult for money to just disappear without any record. It means regular unannounced visits, not a schedule of monthly visits that your worker knows about and prepares for. He's going to be coming on Friday. Surprise visits. You arrive without warning. You count the animals. You walk the fields. You check the records against what was reported. You need to understand this is not mistrust, but it's about accountability. It's nothing personal. And the knowledge that you may arrive anytime, it keeps standard consistently high than the knowledge that you are visiting on the last Saturday of, on the 21st of February movement. And then now, the third factor is to choose the right enterprise for remote management. That one is a very, very important one. You need to understand that not all farming is equally manageable from a distance. Because this one is one of the most important decisions a cell phone farmer must make. We now call ourselves cell phone farmers. And most people get it wrong because they choose what they want to farm rather than what can be farmed remotely. I'll give an example. Cattle. They are very difficult to manage remotely. Why? Because they roam. They get sick in ways that are hard to spot over a phone camera. They can even get stolen. They need daily monitoring by someone who knows cattle. If you have got them, good. But layer hens, they are more manageable because if you have the right worker, they are contained. You know, the layers, they are contained. Their production is measurable daily in eggs, and the numbers are easy to verify. So, apana paungabonzi huku dzako dzaita 10 mazai dzichisimbaita 500. You understand? Market gardening, vegetables, it is extremely difficult to manage remotely because the timing of harvest is very critical. And the perishable nature of produce means that a week's delay in decision making can cost you an entire crop. It has happened to me. I've been doing paper. I think you guys know now. I'll give you a video. I will do a video and tell you exactly some of the challenges that I faced when I was doing paper. Fish farming in properly constructed ponds with a reliable worker is actually one of the better or easiest remote farming options because the fish do not go anywhere. They don't travel. They don't go to graze. Feeding is a routine. We know the times and production cycles are predictable. Bore-fed irrigation plots with drought-resistant crops are better suited to remote management than rain-dependent open fields because you have more control over the key input, which is water. And I always tell you this, you need to make sure that whatever you do, you have control. You have to have as much control as you can. So if you're starting out as a cell phone farmer, choose an enterprise where the key variables are controllable and visible. Which is why I always recommend you to do things like greenhouse farming. Because most of these things, you are able to control them. Even this issue of visibility and stuff, you can put cameras in the greenhouse. You'll be able to see and hear everything from the greenhouse, live at any given time. You need also to start small enough that a bad season is a lesson, not a catastrophe. That's one of the things as well. And then you scale up only when you have proven the system is working. That means the worker, the visibility systems, the financial controls, these things, make sure they are actually working. Now, the fourth factor, it is accepting the reality of what remote farming costs. Hey, yeah. This one, you need to accept. This is something that people like me, we have actually accepted that remote farming has got its own cost. Cell phone farming is more expensive per unit of output than full-time on-site farming. That one is a fact. We can never run away from that. You are paying a worker to do things you would have done yourself if you were there. So that means it's actually more expensive. So you are losing some percentage of your produce to inefficiency, to small-scale dishonesty, to decisions made without full information. You are paying for transport when you visit. Remember, when you are visiting, you pay for transport or you are using fuel. You are paying for the losses that come with the learning curve. Learning curve, you have to pay. But this is not a reason to stop. It is a reason to budget correctly from the start. If you go into remote farming expecting the same returns you would get from being on site every day, you will be disappointed and you will quit. If you go in understanding that your returns in the early stages will be lower because you are paying for the system, you are paying for the learning, you are paying the management overhead, you will stay in the game long enough to make it work. So you need to manage your expectations as well. Let me say something now that very few people like this, they will say to you honestly. Cell phone farming done badly is a money drain. If done well, it is a money machine. The difference between those two outcomes is not luck. It is not even primarily about which crops you choose or which market you sell into. The difference is almost entirely about the quality of your own ground management system, the person, the visibility, the accountability, the financial controls. I've seen people in the UK lose $10,000 on a poultry project because they trusted the wrong person and they had no visibility systems in place. But I've also seen Some people running successfully 50 bed poultry operations from Harare, visiting just once a month, earning consistent returns because they found the right worker, and then they set up daily photo reports and built a simple but airtight financial tracking system. It is the same country, the same chickens, but completely different outcomes because of the system. I have met a lady who is doing about 6,000 chickens, 6,000 roadrunner chickens. And this lady, she's doing this while she's in Australia.
So kuti vasandibira vakomana vangu, I think takataurirana kubva pekutanga kuti inini I want honest. Pandinenge ndakutadzira, you have to tell me kuti zvandisi kuzvifarira zvandisi kuzvifarira. And the other thing is we communicate every day. Every day. And during the first stage, I need report hourly. And I'm very, very strict. And the report is through videos. And even through videos, it has to be different background. It can't be the same video. So we communicate, report every hour, even at night.
She told me that she has got systems. These systems that I'm telling you, she has got systems in place. So let me bring this to a conclusion and give you the honest answer to the question this video started with. Should you stop farming until you can be on the ground full time? My answer, inini sakunda istima, is no, but with conditions. Do not stop farming, but farm within the limits of what you can actually manage from where you are. Start smaller than you think you should. Choose an enterprise that is suited to remote management. Find a person on the ground whose incentives are aligned with yours. Build visibility systems that give you real-time information, not just reassuring phone calls. Don't worry, Dara, boo. Build financial controls that make it hard for money to disappear without a trace. Budget for losses in the first year, obviously, as the cost of your education. And most importantly, if possible, visit regularly. Surprise visits, because there is no app, there is no daily video, there is no financial report that fully replaces the information you get from walking on your own land and looking your farm manager in the eye. The people who told you to wait were trying to protect you from the real losses that come with farming from a distance. That concern, to be honest, it is valid. But the solution to the risk of remote farming is not to quit. Not to quit. The solution is to build a remote management system that is tight enough to protect your investment while you are not there. Because here's the truth. The full-time farmer you want to become is built by the remote farmer you are right now. Every season you spend managing from a distance, every lesson you learn, every system you build, every mistake you survive is preparing you for the day when you can finally be on the ground. And when that day comes, you will not be starting from scratch. You will be stepping into a farm that is already running, already producing, already yours. That is worth the risk. That is worth the losses. That is worth the phone calls at midnight when something has gone wrong. Farm, start now, start small, start smart, but start. My name is Gunda Istima, and this is what we do on this channel. We talk about the real things that matter to Zimbabweans. Building something. Subscribe if this spoke to you. Share it with someone who has been told to wait. And I'll see you in the next one.